I have two very fun, very cute journals that I just finished making, and I wanted to do a flip through before I started working in them. I'm not actually sure if I'm going to work in them both. I definitely am going to work in this one. And what kind of happened was I forgot that I had almost finished making this one. And so I ended up making two fall/November journals. And do I need to? No, because last year I started a November journal and I did not, it ended up being a November, December, January journal. And I actually didn't finish it until about October this year. I mean, I put it away and then in October I was like, I should really finish that journal. So I did. So I'm not sure what my plan is, but I have discovered that I just love making journals. I love working in the journals also, but I don't love that as much as I love just making journals, which is fine. Like that is perfectly valid. I don't have to work in every journal I make, and that's why I sell journals also. However, when I make one, it's really hard for me to let go of. So we'll see what happens. I might have to, I'm just going to see. It's like with all things. I end up putting it away and saving it for a year and then going, you know what, I'm ready to sell this. Or I end up needing it and going ahead and working in it. So we'll see. I just do what feels good at the time, and somehow the universe or something lets me know what to do eventually. So I'm not too stressed out about it. But which one do you want to look at first? Let's do this one. Okay. So this journal, I really had fun doing my Halloween journal challenge journal. I was able to do a spread, like a 2-page spread every single day, which is amazing for me. So I wanted to make a November journal. I don't know how great I'm going to be at doing this every single day, but I remember there were some changes I wanted to make, one of them being a much bigger spine, because my Halloween journal got extremely chunky. It ended up being huge like this. So I made sure to leave plenty of room in the spine for this thing to grow. I also want to play with possibly making it into kind of a calendar type of thing, but I'm not sure. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And I just had a bunch of pages that were great to do an autumn themed journal is how this came out to be. And then I remembered I had been hanging onto this Scrabble board for about 2 or 3 years now, and I've been wanting to make a journal with the Scrabble board. I was hesitant because they were not my colors, but I'm so glad I came back and found this again at this time of the year. Sometimes just looking at something in a different season, in a different like calendar season, maybe a season of your life too, I don't know, makes you look at things a different way. So I just felt like this is definitely the season to be using these colors. I'm embracing these colors. And then my friend Keisha Devaney had sent me, we did a little swap of Happy Mail, and she sent me all this gorgeous fabric, these trims, and some fabric from Seth Apter's line of fabrics, which I didn't really realize he had a line of fabrics, but she sent me some of the scraps here, and I was like, wow, this is perfect. Goes perfect with this journal. She sent me a bunch of other amazing things too. I love doing little swaps and playing with other people's supplies and things that they gather too. So I am excited to dig into that and use all that. The packaging she sent it in was just so fun too. It's like crinkly and tactile. So I'll be using some of that. Let me just go ahead and flip through these pages. This is kind of like when I made my October Halloween journal. I ended up stitching some of the pages together just because I loved how that looked. It adds to the background. I get this texture already that looks awesome, and then all I have to do is add a couple of focal points maybe. So I love doing that. Also love using up papers and items that I have made in the past. I have not tea or coffee dyed papers in years and years. So these are from several years ago, and I'm glad to be using them. This is just packing paper that I had used as a wipe off paper or to protect my desk or whatever. Not recently either. So I've been hanging on to that for a long time. Just some scrapbook paper that I've had. These are Tim Holtz papers too, by the way. Some scrapbook paper, more coffee dyed paper. And yeah, it's just like a bunch of fall themed papers that I'd been hanging on to. Oh, I love this. This is a Tim Holtz. They're called backdrops. So this is the size of the backdrop. And you can see it's not quite the right height for my books. So I just trim off another. Oh, okay. So here's something that I did for this one. I used 2 of them, and then I stagger them to make it the right height that I need. And then I sew along the top, along where they meet, right? And then it ends up making a pocket that I can use in my journaling. So fun way to make pockets that just happened out of necessity. I don't know if that's something that anyone has ever done before or not, but it just worked out that way. And I was like, oh, cool, a pocket. Some wipe off papers where I had extra paint, and I used this paper to roll off the paint. This is a cool one. It's those really thick lines. Like, I think it was a big sheet of paper that a teacher might use in front of the classroom, and they can write on there. It was a huge sheet of, like, a pad of paper. So that's kind of fun. Look at that gorgeous color. Oh, and this is actually one of the little packaging that Keisha sent her stuff in. And okay, so she put stuff in here, and then she sewed everything shut. So for me to open it, I had to rip it open, which kind of killed me a little bit. But it was so fun to do. I loved that idea. So of course I was gonna save this. I think it would make a cute little pocket addition to one of these pages. So I'm gonna hang on to that and use that. Look at how adorable it is. And if you know me, you know how I love little pockets and crinkly, semi-transparent, translucent type of material. Oh, it's so fun. So that is amazing. And yeah, I also, for the Scrabble board covers itself, I didn't want to just use the Scrabble board the way it was. So I ended up adding some like this yellow paint to some of the squares to add in some of the yellow. And then I roughed it up by adding some gesso and some splatters and just marks. I just took like a marker, a turquoise marker, and I just scribbled on it a little bit. So that's what that is. Like, most of it is just very haphazard, free type of thing. And then I added 2 of my watercolor leaves. I did go over it with one of the micro glazes. It's a Ranger product. I believe it's a Tim Holtz Ranger product. It's called micro glaze, and it's kind of, it gives a wax seal on top of things. So I lightly went over this with that wax seal just in case I get it wet or anything like that. It's not gonna rub off. It's not, you know, as I'm touching it, the paint's not going to rub off or anything. I don't normally do that, but since it's the cover, I felt like I would go ahead and do that. So this is my November journal, and I don't know, I know that I can't use this tie as is, because as this grows, it's not going to hold anything. But I don't know how I really want to attach this yet. So I'm just keeping it like this for now. Okay, now this one, this cute little guy is made out of an actual quilt. It's a piece of quilt that I had made years and years ago, maybe like 20 years ago probably. And it's not like a huge quilt that was functional as something to keep anyone warm. It was like gonna be kind of a wall hanging decor type of thing, but I never hung it up or used it. So I did cut up a part of this, and I used it for a page in my Halloween journal. I cut out a leaf shape, 2 leaf shapes out of it, and stitch it around. So I had more left over, and I just wanted to make a journal out of it and reuse some of the things that just got left behind. I had this buckle. It's a vintage buckle, and I thought that would be fun, and I was able to find this piece. It's kind of like a snippet roll, but it's not. I love this little piece of fabric. I was gifted this by a lady in Canada. Her name is Dagmar. She's super sweet. And we did a couple of swaps, or maybe just one swap a long time ago, and I've been hanging on to this for a few years, and it is making the cutest little closure. And then I added these little snaps. I sewed these snaps in so they can just snap on. It's not like, I didn't want to like fiddle with the actual buckle. I thought a snap would be more fun because, you know, did you hear that? That is just so fun. And then as the journal grows, I can just snap it like that, because you know my issue with journals getting really chunky. So, I mean, listen to that. Some days I'm really into hand stitching. That was one of the days I was like, I'm just gonna do some hand stitching today, and it really wasn't too tough to go through all of this fabric. I just had some ribbon here that I added to the tops and bottoms to make this frilly and fun. This is some fabric that I had avocado dyed a long time ago. And then again, just some fall themed papers and tea and coffee dyed papers that I'd had. I just love making journals because I get to use all of these things that I had made in the past or have been hanging on to that I forget about, or I get them and there's so much left over. In fact, after I made my Halloween journal, I had so much Halloween paper left over. I've already started making some signatures for next year, and then just some I have like 4 or 5 extras that I'll just probably put in my shop probably next year. I always do things in the, like, after the thing happens. Like, it's already past Halloween, or it's gonna be Halloween in 2 days, I guess. But by the time you watch this video, maybe Halloween's already passed. Who knows? And now I will have journals ready to sell that are Halloween themed in November. So that's just what happens. I don't know. Maybe people want to buy Halloween themed journals in November, and hang on to it. But I feel like that's how it always works with me in holidays. I'm always like a month behind, and then I go, oh, I guess it was Easter. I should get all my Easter things out or whatever. I'm trying to be better about that. Hence, I got this November journal already. I made 2 November journals to try to make up for it, I guess. Oh, I love this paper. This paper, I only have a few pieces left, but I had been using it in some tiny little journals that I've been making, and I sold a bunch of them, and now I'm down to just a few pages, and I'm missing it. I kind of wish I had hung on to some more of this. It's got this like sheen, this kind of like a shimmer on this side, and I just love the leaves. And I've actually tried to recreate that with a fine liner. It's kind of fun to do, but a little bit tedious. But maybe you have a journal that you bought from me, one of these tiny, I think it's called the Winter Vibes journals. I might have made about 12, maybe about a dozen, and sold them. And if you have one of those journals, you might have that paper. I love it. Okay, and then this fabric was gifted to me by such a sweet lady. She was, okay, so when I was in my 20s and just married, I learned how to quilt. And I went to this quilt guild with some of the sweetest older ladies, and a lot of them just had a stash of fabric and things that they knew they weren't ever going to use. So one of them was like, this fabric is gorgeous, will you please take it? And I was like, sure, I'll take it. It wasn't this color. It was very, very purple. I'll find the original for you, but I ended up dyeing it because it was so extremely purple that I thought I would never use it that way. Although I probably would now. I do love purple now. But it is just gorgeous. I just love it. So it's definitely vintage fabric. And I'm always happy when I can use this in something, when I can just fit it in somewhere. So I'm going to go find that, how that looks originally. You're going to be amazed. I can't even remember what I did. Maybe, I wonder if I used bleach. Okay, here's the fabric. I mean, huge difference, right? So I definitely used some sort of dye or bleached it and dyed it or something. I wish I would remember, because I do love how this turned out. But yeah, this is how it started, and she just had so much of it, and I was like, I don't know what I'll do with it, but I will do something with it and happily use it. And I have, actually. I've dyed quite a bit of it and used it in a few things. So I feel like I'm that lady now where I'm like, please use some of the fabric that I have been hanging on to for years that I don't know what to do with, which is why I love doing things like swaps. So, all right, anyway, that's it. These are my 2 journals, and I'll be sharing as I work in them, the pages and flip throughs and that kind of thing, probably on Instagram every so often, and then I'll do a big flip through again at the end of November, and hopefully I'll have at least one of these journals completely filled out by the end of November. We'll see. Thanks for watching, everyone. Yeah, I always forget to say this, but please subscribe and give me a thumbs up if you want to see more content like this. I love making journals, like I said. I love flipping through them and showing everyone what I've made. I love making extra journals, putting them up in my shop. So if you're ever looking for journals that I've made and you want to see if I have any for sale, they actually go really quickly. Like sometimes I don't even get to announce that I have a sale on Instagram before the people on my newsletters have snatched them up. So if you want to be one of the first to be notified about any journal sales, I try to let people know when one is coming up, and then I'll be like, I'm adding them to my shop now. And as I add them to my shop, they just disappear. It's amazing how quickly they go. So get on my newsletter. I'll give you the link below. My website is TiffanySimplySharp.com. And you can always sign up for my newsletter there too. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.